But as for who we trade for, that's like a whole different story. I don't know enough about the value of players. Who knows? I know Ben Simmons was thrown around, and a lot of people have a bunch of controversy on that because Ben Simmons, his value dropped this offseason, but I, for one, would kill for that trade. I know Ben Simmons can't shoot. I know he's choked, but he would fit the Blazers so damn well, in my opinion.
Please expand on that, because I'm on the other side. This is something we're going to argue about.
Okay, we can argue about this. Yeah. Ben Simmons was a DPOY candidate. I think he was first team all. He, in my opinion, I think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. He showed this season he was the best perimeter defender. Like, even the games where we played against the Sixers, Dame would go crazy, but, like, Dame had a tough time when Simmons was on him because he is 6'10", athletic. And, like, the main reason I want him on the Blazers is because of his defense. And I think Damian would bring a level to his game that Embiid couldn't. Because Dame's such a good leader. But I'll expand on that. But back to his defense. I really think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. I'm sick of Gobert winning it. He's good. Rudy Gobert got it. Yeah. Which on paper, it makes sense. But we've seen what happens every year when he wins it. Like, he just gets destroyed in the playoffs. But another story. Ben Simmons, he can't score for shit. And he's got confidence issues. Like, we saw him pass on open layups. Like, he's got a lot of issues to his game. But I think the Blazers is such a better environment for him because he doesn't have to be that guy. Yeah. And he's a good playmaker and a good passer, too. I think him and Damian will be a killer duo, but it's mostly his defense. I think if you run a god lineup of like him, assuming we keep all of our pieces like Dame, Norman Powell, Ben Simmons, like Rocco and Nurkic, we will be, with our new coach too and new lineups, I think we'll be locking teams down. I think he's the piece we need. And it's at like a couple years ago, CJ for Ben Simmons wouldn't have been a good trade because like back then CJ wasn't as great, and Simmons was probably viewed as the better player back then. But now we're at a moment where Simmons' stock is so low that we could totally do this trade. Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't want it, and I get it. I don't blame you if you don't want Ben Simmons on the team. He's, controversial player. But for CJ McCollum, I don't think we're losing a lot, and I think we're gaining a lot of things that CJ doesn't have in return. A 6'10" player. And I seriously think the main reason other than defense is that Damian Lillard is maybe the damn best leader in the NBA right now. Yeah. I think he elevates other people's games, kind of like LeBron does. And I think putting Ben Simmons on this team and telling him, like, you don't have to be the number 2 option or whatever. Like, he had a lot of pressure on him in Philadelphia. And him and Embiid just proved to not be a very good lineup together. I think him and Damian, screw it. Why not try it? At this point, I would love it, and I don't think we can get much else for CJ right now. I think that's a good bet, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on Ben Simmons?
Here's where you're thinking defensively, which I love. Yeah, and I agree with you on the defensive side. Yeah, but offense, if you've been in the basketball world for more than a week, you've probably heard that defense wins games, and it's not necessarily a proven statement, but it's one of those really strong, like, it makes sense. You stop the team from scoring, you score more points, you win the game. That hasn't always made perfect sense to me because, sure, you can stop a team from scoring, but if you can't score yourself, you're not going to win the game. If you can only stop the team as much as you can score, then it's going to be a close game, and it's the fourth quarter in an NBA game can go anywhere. Right. We've seen that happen. We've seen teams come back from a 20-point deficit in the fourth quarter and come back and win. So crazy. I don't know how much defense is involved with that, but anyway, back to CJ and Ben Simmons. I don't know if CJ is the player I would trade for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, I would trade Nurk and someone else in a draft pick for Ben Simmons. That's all I'd give the guy, and which is a lot for a player, but it's not that much as compared to if we wanted to get even Paul George or someone like that. We'd have to give up 2 players, multiple draft picks, and then who knows how much money. Right. So, I'm thinking offensively. Like, Ben Simmons is not going to bring a whole lot offensively, if not anything, because we have Lillard, and Ben Simmons was the non-shooting Lillard of the 76ers, I would say. Him and Embiid, I don't know what the relationship was between those two as far as a leadership role.
Right.
Like, I don't know if Ben was telling the team what to do or if Joel was telling the team what to do. It was probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But there's got to be one more than the other. And I just don't know. I would guess Embiid, just because he's more of a high caliber player
than player on the team. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's what I'm trying to say: if we traded Ben Simmons for CJ, what do you think? What would our offensive lineup look like? Because that's what I'm struggling to figure out. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, was Ben Simmons the point guard on the 76ers?
He was.
He was. So, put Ben Simmons at the 2 guard. What is he gonna do?
And here's what I'll say.
Or even
I don't think Ben Simmons is a point guard. I don't think he should be played as one. I think he's a good playmaker and kind of has that point forward type role. But I really think he's the type of dude that we can put at power forward. Or even if somehow we lost Nurkic, I would literally say we could play him at center because of his defense and his versatility. Like, we could run small ball with him at center, and he's not even that small, but. You're right.
He's not.
We give up a lot on CJ is way better offensive player. And yeah, it's a good
as
question.
Far as scoring, not as
true
moving the ball around, but scoring.
Yeah. It really is a question of is losing that level of offense worth it if we gain that much defense, and that's why it's a gamble of a trade.
Yeah.
And I believe it is. Just because I think he brings playmaking and defense, and I'm really banking on that. I think he will play a different game in Portland. It's a different environment. And I think it'll be the first time where he doesn't have to be the playmaking point guard leader. And he could still be that to an extent, but I think that's why I'm really just high on Damian playing with him. But there's also a few factors, like who all we keep in free agency if we trade anybody else. This is me assuming we have Norman Powell and Robert Covington and Nurkic still. If it was just like CJ for Ben Simmons and maybe some random bench player or draft pick or whatever. If we can keep that lineup, then I think it's 100% worth it because we have Norman Powell, who's a great scorer. We have Rocco, who can hit threes. Like, Nurkic can get to the paint. And then we still have, Anthony, who I think... We'll talk about Anthony.
We'll talk about Anthony in a little bit.
I have high expectations for him. I think he's going to have
That's a bullet point conversation. We'll get back to that.
We'll get back to Anthony. And then whatever other player we sign. But if, we really blow it up and then we just lose a lot of our good role players... Yeah, it probably wouldn't make that much sense. We would want to get a Paul George or somebody who can. But I think Ben Simmons is a great dude to slot into our lineup because I think we can make up for his lack of offense. I think he fills in that role that we're missing. But who knows, man?
Who do you think Ben Simmons is gonna kind of not necessarily highlight, but bring out the best of? Which Trailblazer that Dame doesn't already kind of bring out. I'm trying to think of what Ben's going to bring to the table kind of as far as chemistry and leadership that Dame doesn't already kind of set the level. That's even CJ question. Too. CJ's almost at kind of that leadership level of Dame on the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
So what are you feeling for that?
One thing I know for damn sure is Ben Simmons will pass the ball, which CJ only did sometimes. And it was weird because CJ would be shooting 20% from the field and he'd still take a contested mid-range jumper when we're down by 10. And it's dude, you got to pass. And that's Ben Simmons. The difference is he knows he can't score, so he passes. So maybe his playmaking and passing is a bit overrated because of that fact that maybe that's the only option he has. That's why he gets a lot of assists, whatnot. But I don't think he specifically highlights one individual. I think it's more that we highlight him and make him better. But I really think it's just a matter of and it's all has to do with our new coach and his style, and if it's really ball movement oriented, which I hope.
I think it's supposed to be. That's one of his.
And I heard he's a good defensive coach too, so I'm hoping. And that's why, if that's the case, if he's ball movement oriented and a good defensive mind as a coach, then Ben Simmons just makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah.
But who knows? If it was the Terry Stotts offensive game plan, Ben Simmons would basically be a ghost on our team. But I think in the right environment, I really think he just brings ball movement, and I think we can make him a threat on offense too because of his athletic. I think it's really a confidence thing, and I'm not expecting him to be able to shoot, but he's a lob threat. He's somebody who, if he's in his bag, he can get to the paint, and not really a lot of people can block him. He's 6'10", lengthy, and like, and there have been times where the dude will put up 30 or whatever. He just wasn't that guy in the playoffs this year. But I'm just saying, dude, like, you got to be careful if you're putting all of your attention on Damian. He can throw oop to Simmons, or he can get it to Simmons, and Simmons can throw an oop to Nurkic, you know, like, because he's that level of player. I think but I could definitely be overhyping him too much. It's really just a matter of, I think he'll play a lot different with us, but it's really a guess at the end.
I think he would play a lot different with us. I think we could also, kind of like what you said, we could drop some fruity plays with Dame and Ben Simmons.
I think so too, man.
You know, Dame bringing the ball down the court, Simmons running on the opposite side, down to maybe even low post area, put Nurk on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Simmons on the low post, get the ball to Ben Simmons. You're going to have 2 or 3 good shooting guards. Norman Powell, Lillard, Anthony Simons.
The lineups we could run with that.
We could get some
wide open
threes.
Yeah.
Blazers haven't been known to hit
wide open threes every
single time, but that's something you can definitely work on and improve on, especially in a game scenario.
Yeah.
Which I think Ben Simmons could contribute
tremendously.
towards.
I think he's somebody that would play great with our second unit, and I really think, like, so you could have Dame, him and Nurkic, and that's Nurkic is a very underrated playmaker, like, in his passes. I think him and Simmons, him and Simmons would, like, what's the word? I think they just mesh really well. But the other thing too is we could always run like I was kind of talking about earlier, like a lineup with Simmons at.
Why do I keep saying Simmons? I'm tripping. I can't talk.
But
Seaman.
Ben Seaman. What if we did imagine this lineup? We have like Damian, Anthony, Norman Powell, Rocco, and then Simmons at center. Like a lineup like that where it's a small ball one. We just got scorers and shooters, and then we still have good defense with Norman Powell and Rocco, and we just move the ball all around, and we're just cooking teams with just fast-paced, high-level offense.
So we saw that with the Rockets before
Pocket Rockets. Yeah, before it blew
before
up.
Harden went to Brooklyn. So for that 3.5, maybe 4 years where they were playing that small ball, hit the three.
Yeah.
We saw how that worked. Do you think that Rockets team, I would say it is, do you think that Rockets team is better than current Trailblazers? Or at least the state that we could be in, maybe?
On paper, no. Like, we have players like Rocco's better than who they have. They had Gerald Green. Like, that Rockets team played so much better than they looked. Like, people forget that team was the only team that was close enough to beating the Warriors in 2018, which was the best team of all time. Like, don't at me on that. Like, and if Chris Paul wasn't injured, I'm a firm believer that that Rockets team would have won. Like, and last year before James Harden trade, they kind of took it too far with the small ball thing where they had 6'5" PJ Tucker at center. Yeah, that just didn't really work. But people forget that team still would bust a few teams' asses. Like, they beat the Lakers. Like, it wasn't good enough to win it all. But if we're looking at like their peak small ball lineup where they had Chris Paul back in the day, like, obviously we don't have Chris Paul, but I don't think we could replicate that. But I think we could do something a bit different. Yeah, in terms of small ball. But I think Ben Simmons would be perfect for that because it really, at the end of the day, saying it sounds like small ball because he's normally a point guard, but he's 6'10", 6'11". Rocco is like 6'7", 6'8". It's honestly like a pretty reasonable sized lineup.